Yeah.
Well, we're pretty much recording.
Oh, okay.
All right.
And now we have nothing to say.
Yeah.
This is the intro. This is
Gotcha. I've noticed at the beginning it's the pitter patter of everything getting into its place. I like it. I like it.
Speaking of podcast magic,
Yes.
there was nothing magical about what just happened.
Yeah.
It was all thumbs.
Nice.
No.
I need some more. I need alcohol. Some shots of whiskey or something. I don't know.
We have lots of bits and pieces of old bottles of alcohol. We have like an old liquor collection that we never finished.
Oh,
But we just don't drink like that anymore.
I mean, do you need to give it away? I mean,
We're gonna start filtering it around town.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, all that to say is we've had some technical difficulties.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the audio on this podcast, hopefully it'll work.
Hopefully.
We've done like a gazillion tests.
Yes.
Now you're seeing all the magic behind the action.
Yes, it's really cool to see how it all comes together.
Yeah.
And how I'm completely don't know what I'm doing.
That's
Like,
part of the charm.
You've heard a few podcasts where I'm
Yes.
like, I don't know what I'm doing. You saw exactly me not know,
Yeah.
clicking buttons and trying to get things to work.
What is this slider gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's microphones, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're doing a podcast, you gotta have really microphones
Yeah.
is the first thing.
Absolutely.
Right.
The actually I feel like the video is the easy
Secondary,
part.
yeah.
Yeah. The easier part of it, the less important side of it.
Well, with that said, thanks for being on my 2-bit podcast. here.
Absolutely. We are
Yes.
thrilled to be here.
It's an honor to be invited. So
I would say, based on what I was hearing and what I was kind of working on, it's probably going to be best if we try to, whoever talks, just one person
One
at
at a time.
And I only say that because sometimes you guys tell stories and you finish each other's sentences.
We do.
we do have a tendency to do that. 25 years will do that to a couple. So
Y'all been together 25 years.
Yeah.
25.
Congratulations.
Yes.
That's really awesome.
20 together 25. Yeah. Married 24, together 25.
How did you guys meet?
So I was a soldier, Fort Bragg, and I had been doing a part-time job on the weekends, and I had to go to the field for training. And while I was gone, she started working at the restaurant that I was part-timing at. So when I came back, there was this cute new hostess.
Yeah, I had been at the restaurant about a week, and this dirty guy comes up to me, hot, and he goes, "Put me on the calendar for Jody."
Now, wait, when you say dirty,
Like messy, like
okay.
actually dirty, out of the field.
I had been cleaning tents and cots and trucks and vehicles all day, and they finally set us free for the weekend, and I came in to let them know that I could work the weekend because I was back early.
Okay.
And she was the first person that I had to talk to.
So he comes to my stand and he says, "Put me on the schedule at 6 o'clock. I'll be here for Jody." And I was like, "And you are who?" Just, totally dismissive, but he was super hot and I was super intimidated.
Wait, is Jody an acronym?
No, not this time.
What is?
Jody was an actual waitress that I was taking the place of that night. So
Oh, you were working.
Yeah.
Yes.
At the restaurant.
You were working at the restaurant.
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, I was assuming you were going to
No.
the restaurant.
He was working
to-
there part-time. That was his party money.
Gotcha.
So he always had a part-time gig outside of the Army,
Okay.
and that was his play money.
Gotcha.
So working at the restaurant was his play money for the weekend.
Okay.
And so this was a Friday at the end of a week in the field, and I had just been at the restaurant a week.
And so you're like, oh, I get to work with this dirty guy.
But really all my takeaway was he's really hot.
Oh, okay.
And so I was looking forward to having a chance to chat with him again.
Okay.
Really figured he was out of my league. thought that there was probably a more significant age difference. Just
Are y'all similar age?
he's 5 years older.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And my whole time that evening, I thought she was out of my league.
yeah.
So neither one of us were actively trying and stumbling over ourselves.
Yep.
So we were completely natural with one another because we weren't trying.
Okay.
It just
And everything
happened.
clicked into place.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We went out to a bar that night, and we went out the next night, and then Sunday night, the third night that we knew each other, I went home with him and I never left.
Wow.
Yeah. And here we are 25 years later.
Yeah.
On a two-bit podcast.
Yes,
yes.
on a 2-bit podcast.
We dated for 8 months
Yeah.
and got married.
Now, were you deployed during any of y'all's?
So I did a deployment to Iraq, a deployment to Afghanistan, and after retirement, I have done a 1.5 years in Taiwan and a 4-month stint in Korea.
Yeah.
Now, are you in combat position or?
I was a helicopter mechanic, so we like to. The term is a FOBIT. I never left the operating base.
What it was FOBIT mean?
FOB is a forward operating base.
Okay.
And the term for somebody that doesn't actually have to go out.
Because you're a hobbit.
Yes.
FOBIT.
He was a FOBIT.
So a FOBIT.
Okay.
I was perfectly happy with him being a FOBIT.
Yeah, because I mean that's when you have a relationship, whether you're married or in boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, whatever. Somebody gets deployed and goes out and they're in combat, you never know.
Yep.
That's stress on everybody. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
There were maybe twice he was someplace more dangerous than I knew of at the time.
And she just didn't know until I got home.
When he got back, he's like, oh yeah, I was someplace that was not so safe.
You're like,
it's over now, so I guess it all went all right.
I was at a base that was right outside of Bakuba, Iraq, while we were in liberating like a major offensive in Bakuba. And I was in the base right outside of that city, and we took a lot of incoming, a lot of fire. A lot of our helicopters were coming in and out. They'd leave and leave fully armed and come back an hour and a half later completely empty.
wow.
And we're filling them back up again.
What's how long does helicopters lifespan? I know
Like their fuel range, or
no, just like you build a helicopter. How many flight hours do you think it will last? All things being,
we had some
service.
of ours that were over 9,000-10,000 hours, flight hours.
Okay.
But what happened? So we had Alpha model Apaches that then got converted to Delta models, and then those same Delta models, a few of them wound up going to Echo models. And so, but now they're producing those straight off of the line as brand new.
So, is there a certain particular time where you're like, okay, you're now you were an Alpha, now you're a Delta?
It's dependent on schedules of when they decide to turn an aircraft in for. They basically go to an area right here in Huntsville. And they take all of the equipment off of it and send that equipment back to Boeing. It's essentially retiring that aircraft. The airframe gets shredded, whatever they do with them, but all of those components go back to rebuild a new aircraft.
Wow. I wonder if I can apply that to bicycles. When should I move my Alpha into Delta?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's very good.
Yep.
That's very good.
A few bikes that I'm like,
Take your component group off and put it on a new frame. Sure.
it's like, you are now my Delta.
Yes.
Echo. And then you're always chasing after the new Alpha, right?
Steel frame, aluminum frame, carbon fiber.
N+1, right?
There you go.
Yep. I love it.
Yep.
Well, that's fun. Thanks for sharing that. I know serving in the military. Thank you for that. So
Absolutely.
I always swore I would never marry a soldier. I wouldn't even date a soldier because I grew up with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I grew up at Fort Bragg.
Okay.
No military connection, just from my friends, from growing up with friends whose parents were in the Army, and I saw people come and go all the time. And that was not the life I wanted. And, you know, made promises to people that I never a soldier, never a soldier, never a soldier. Here I am, 25 years later. Best decision I ever made.
Yeah,
I dug my grapples in deep.
Sometimes you can't just turn the dirty hunk of a man away.
Nope,
Right?
nope. Just couldn't walk away.
Yep.
All right, so let's fast forward 25 years.
Yes.
Seems like the fire is still flaming
Yes.
and burning hotter than ever.
Yep.
Very much so.
Yep.
It's been an interesting 25 years.
And that's just from my observations of you guys coming into the store and seeing you guys interact. You guys are two peas in a pod, and
We really are. And that's all those years ago, that's what we knew. We didn't know a whole lot else about each other other than we connected.
mm-hmm.
We connected on every level that's important, every intellectual level, every spiritual level, every level we could think of, we connected. And so we've just been working on that connection for 25 years.
That's awesome.
Sometimes lost in the static.
We always knew that we were meant to be together, but that only carries you so far.
Yeah.
So for years, each of us separately, we've looked for things that the couple of us could do together. There were things that I really enjoyed that she sort of enjoyed. I had a whole stint with saltwater aquariums.
Yeah.
Where I had different aquariums that I tried to get her interested in. And she could care less.
Yeah. Mostly they made me seasick. Looking through the glass and through the water made me seasick.
She started getting into cons, were conjuration events.
Cosplay.
I recently did that with my daughter.
Okay.
I got some fun pictures.
Yeah.
I have gone all out with some costumes.
Yeah.
For a long time, I did a lot of theater growing up. Okay. So costumes and makeup, and that's something I was really familiar with. And finding a creative way to bring some of my favorite characters to life and embody them and portray them became very, very fun. And he got involved several years in to me cosplaying. He got involved, and it was something we did together. He wasn't real active in putting stuff together with me, but he would sit there and let me put makeup on him. So
do all cute. Of the
wigs, makeup, all the stuff.
Yeah. So that was her thing that she was really interested in, and I went along with it because it was something that she really enjoyed.
And we did it together.
But it was never our thing. It was her thing that I joined her with.
Yeah.
So about 2 years ago was really where our life took a major change.
Yeah.
I got diagnosed with diabetes, which it can be a bad.
So this is type 2.
Yes.
Type 2.
Okay. So
100% my diet and exercise. I would, on the way to work, grab a 20-ounce Red Bull and smash it on the way to work, and then have another soda at lunch and cheeseburgers and chicken nuggets, whatever.
All the food.
Just terrible eating, no exercise.
No exercise.
And so the pounds started cracking on. Yeah. And so I got the diabetes talk with my doctor. This whole time, our son is now 22. She had been claiming the baby fat for many years.
Oh, yeah. I claimed baby weight his whole life.
So your son's 20?
He's 22 now.
Yeah.
So this was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all pretty early into your relationship then had a
yeah, so we were married about a year and we had Scott.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah.
But then so my doctor wound up putting me on one of the injectable shots. which is what prompted my weight loss.
Yes.
Okay.
And at the time I was in my own battle of binge eating and gaining weight and binge eating and gaining weight and being really secretive about the binge eating. So nobody knew about how much I was eating. And so it was just a really horrible shame spiral of the heaviest I had ever weighed.
Do you mind if I show some pictures?
I do not mind.
All right, we're going to dive into this. So
yeah.
That's you, Billy. When was this?
So this would have been, I think this was in 2023.
No, this was our last cruise, our 20th anniversary.
Yeah, 23, wasn't it? It's 22 or 23.
23.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
so. This was 23. This would have been in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I was probably about 250, 255, somewhere around there.
Yeah. And that was actually in Myrtle Beach a couple of years later, but about my heaviest.
No, that was when.
That was Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was 23 also.
Yeah, it was the same year, wasn't it?
It was cool there. It was still, it was either late. But anyway, we made a day trip down to Myrtle Beach.
So this does not look like you.
Yeah. That I'm about 225. Yeah.
So you've in what do you weigh now?
107.
So in 2 years, if that was 23.
Yeah.
Or it's 25 now.
Yeah.
In 2 years, you lost 100 and
a little over 100 pounds. Yeah. Yeah. My weight topped out at 225, and I think today I was 107.
Wow.
And we had to get healthy. Something had to happen.
But and how much weight did you?
I'm about 75. So
wow. So y'all are two completely different people. Then.
Yes.
We're half a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she lost a whole person. So
what's okay? That's a dramatic change.
It is
in 2 years.
It is.
Yes.
What? Okay. So many questions.
Yes.
Because there's anything like that that's drastic, right?
Yes.
So there's always good things and bad things that can come with something like that. You probably a lot more good things, but
yes.
But so my question is really, what's the best thing that's come from it, and what's a thing that's kind of permeating or still?
I still struggle with nutrition.
Okay.
Eating is still, it's a different kind of struggle now. I understand food from a different perspective. Eat to live, not live to eat.
Yeah.
Fuel the machine. And that's how I see food now, but it's a challenge.
We're actually at a point now where we're trying to put weight back on her, or at least stop the loss.
Stop the loss.
Okay.
We're so active now that because of her stomach size, I don't know if you wanted to share that.
So
this will make more sense.
I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy.
Okay.
So they removed 3/4 of my stomach. So my stomach went from the size of a small watermelon to the size of a small banana.
Okay.
And it is possible to stretch that out again and gain all the weight back.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful and remember to treat your new stomach the size that it actually is. And what it did for me is it triggered paying attention to what I eat, when I eat, how I eat, and who's around me. I don't eat by myself anymore, because that's where I got into trouble, was the binge closet eating, where he didn't know I was eating 3 fudge rounds. He saw 1.
Yeah.
When she first started talking about the gastric surgery, I was 100% against it.
Oh, completely against it.
Because I saw what I thought I saw, what she ate. And I'm like, there's no way you're going to lose weight doing this, because you're not eating to that level that it's going to change. So he had no idea. He
actually tried to talk me into doing the injectable Mounjaro or Ozempic or one of them, because I was that close to diabetes. I was that close to that talk with my doctor. Would have been easy enough for me to get onto that medication, and he asked me to give him 6 months. And that was about when we first started talking about me having the surgery. And I was like, no, the shots are not going to work for me. I need the surgery. I need a Control, Alt, Delete, reboot.
Wow. So here's also a thing that I hear that. What do you do also from a mental perspective?
Therapy.
Yeah, how
therapy.
I was going to ask, did you?
I did. A lot of times, bariatric programs with surgeons require a psych eval, and I had been under psychiatric care for a while. I have bipolar disorder, so I've been on a cocktail of medications and under psych eval or psych treatment for the better part of my adult life. I highly recommend therapy. I think everybody should seek therapy at least once in their lives. You just never know what you can learn from a professional.
Right.
And until you get honest about your habits, you cannot escape any of them.
That's a very, very important statement.
Yes,
right there.
You have to get honest.
Yeah.
You have to get honest.
And the fact that you were sneaking snacks.
Yes.
Behind.
Yes.
And then you also now say, I eat in front of people.
I don't eat alone.
You don't eat alone.
I don't eat alone.
You're being honest with yourself.
Yes. I am brutally honest with myself. If I'm honest enough about it, I probably give myself a harder time than I need to. I could probably let up on myself at this point, but that honesty keeps me in check, Well,
you probably also always making sure that the person you were
yes
isn't chasing back up.
Exactly. I stay honest for her.
Yeah.
I'm proud of her. She got me here.
Yeah. Well, dude, I went on a fun Fleet Feet run with you guys, and man, you took off like anything, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna catch up with you. Dude, you were smoking. You're fast.
I like to run fast.
You do a good job.
Thank you.
Like you couldn't do that 2 years ago.
No. Oh gosh, no. I was never athletic ever.
You're athletic now.
I am athletic now.
Isn't that fun to hear?
It is bizarre. It is. I hope it never gets old.
Yeah.
This newfound love of movement and fitness and being healthy. I hope it never gets old.
Newfound love of movement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
The irony of all of this is because I started getting healthy and I started losing weight, I realized that I went out on a run when I started because of the weight that I had lost. I decided if I'm losing this weight by not doing anything but this injectable, how much more could I lose if I started exercising?
Yeah.
And I realized that I can still run because I did 20 years in the Army. I ran, but nobody ever taught me how to run. They just said, go out there, crank out
what you need to,
whatever I need to do, and keep doing it long enough until you get good at it. So I never really enjoyed it. It was never something I wanted to do. But for some reason, once I started getting healthy this time, something was different. And so I told her, I said, I'm going to set a goal. I turned 50. I turned 50 this past December. And I said, I want to complete a triathlon in my 50th year. That is my goal. And she just, I will carry the shit for you.
I will be
and
the
I'll
Sherpa.
be at the finish line.
Yeah, I will carry your shit. That was my overwhelming reaction. I was like, go you can do it. I'm sure of it. I'll carry the shit.
Yep. So she already had a really nice bike, but had never really ridden it.
I was terrified of it. You remember that girl.
Yeah.
You met that girl.
Yeah.
I took her to Ditto Landing. It was the first place that I really enjoyed riding with the Sunset Cycle Group.
Yeah.
So this first day that I took her out there.
Now this was August of last year. So I'm 6 months post-op. So I'm down about 60 60-ish pounds, 50, 60
Okay.
pounds when
Still
I go on.
uncomfortable on the bike though.
Yeah.
Still very, very different from how I look
Well,
now.
you're still like also getting used to a new body.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
which is still shedding at
Yes.
that point too.
Yep.
So,
And at that point, the weight loss felt really slow to me because his was still melting off,
yeah.
and I was just trying to keep up.
Mm.
So as he got more into,
Are y'all now? this dives in. You guys are competitive against
yeah,
one another, aren't you?
extremely. I didn't used to be. I am now.
Mm. All right, sorry.
No, that's okay.
So-
Ditto landing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We can-
so we drove from Decatur to Ditto Landing, and it was a fight the whole way.
The whole way.
She was angry at me the entire ride. I told her, I was like, I will turn this truck around and go home.
He
and
threatened to sell my
this
bike.
And so
Yep.
against much protest, she finally got on it when we got there. Was very shaky on it to begin
Very
with.
shaky.
On our way back, the grassy area right next to the river, for some reason, whatever, she steered.
I stopped pedaling and tipped over into the grass, because if you stop pedaling,
If you, I mean, you got to have some kind of.
if you don't have any forward momentum,
You're gonna
will
So-
fall over.
Yeah.
So
So I
at this,
fell over.
ironically, at this point, it just flashed through my eyes. What do I do now? She has just fallen on this bike that I forced her to get on today. And just in solidarity, I just crashed right next to her.
Yep.
It was soft grass. I just crashed. I
Yep.
did. Brandon, I dumped my bike right next to her.
Yep.
We were doing 10.
Yeah.
So
So you.
I dumped it right next
Yeah.
to her.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
At the time, I was a bitch. I was like, that didn't help. It totally helped.
I was either going to bike away from her laughing or I was going to crash next to her. It was going to be one or the other.
Yep.
That is got to be the most romantic
Yes.
crash I've ever heard.
Yep. So that day happened. At the end of the day, she says, okay,
That
that
wasn't
wasn't terrible. And then it was 3 days later, you asked, when can we go riding again?
I did.
So that was the bike story.
And he had asked me to run with him, and I had gone out to run with him once, and I made it maybe a quarter of a mile, and I gave up. I was like,
Just quit on
this is bullshit. I just didn't want to do it. So I turned around and went home. And he had been on me about, just give me 5 runs. 5 1-mile runs. Not consecutive days, just 5 1-mile runs. If you don't see improvement at the end of that 5th 1-mile run, I'll leave you alone. It'll never come up again.
That's brilliant. Good job, Billy.
So
The very next run, she did an entire mile.
Yeah.
2 days later, she did 2 miles. A week later, it was like 3. And
I haven't slowed down since.
less than 4 months, 6 months, whatever. We ran our first half marathon.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I ran my first mile October 4th, and I ran my first half marathon February 27th. The Carnival Frolic in Decatur
Yeah.
was my first half in February.
You know, a lot of people ask me from time to time, like, how do I get faster on the bicycle?
Yeah.
And I just say, ride with somebody faster.
Yep.
And especially if it's group riding, like, go with the faster group.
Yep.
Like just the one, if you've been on the baby group or whatever,
Yep.
Mhm.
go to the next level up. You
Yep.
know?
Yep.
And like, but they're I can't hang with them. I'm like,
Exactly.
it's like hang with them as long as you can.
Yep.
If you know the route and you just gas out,
Yep.
great. Come back next week.
Yep.
Go with that same group. You know how long you can last.
Yep.
Now last 1 mile longer. if you
Yep.
can.
Yep.
That's actually we've been doing the Tuesday night brick with the triathlon team.
Yep.
And
We're ready to move up. a
we're
group.
ready to move up to the next group. We've been
And guess what?
yeah.
You might get left behind at some
Yep.
point.
Yep.
But
We
then
won't
you come
know.
back the next week.
Yeah.
Yep.
And all you got to do is just last a little
We-
bit longer.
From the beginning of starting with the Tri Club, we were at the back of that group, and then we moved to the middle of that group, and now we're at the front of that group pretty much every week. So the next place to go is the next
and
group.
We're watching that group just right up the road.
Just a little faster.
And we're like, we could have been pushing a little bit harder and we'd stay with that group.
And that's how my journey has been the whole way is I can do this. My tattoo, I can do this. Fuck. That's my mantra of all of my life was filled in with can'ts. I can't. I'm not a dancer. I'm not an athlete. I'm not a runner. I don't whatever. And
where did that come from?
Toxic parenting when I was a kid. And I don't really want to give her more bandwidth than that.
Sure.
But letting go of that 3 years ago is what freed me to discover this part of myself.
Oh, that's awesome.
Walking away from toxicity is the healthiest thing I ever did. And in his journey to weight loss and get healthy coincided with me leaving that toxic childhood behind me. And the timing worked out really beautifully for us to be on this journey together. He's watched me struggle for 25 years under the weight of my childhood. And so with his support and watching him do his own weight loss journey, I was like, I can do this. And so somewhere in the back of my mind, those words happened. I can do this. I can do this. And I started saying them so much that I started to repeat it, believe it. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And then life gets hard. Life gets really hard. And then even when you know you can do something, it sucks to do it because it's harder. That's where the fuck comes in. Because you do it anyway. Just because it's hard doesn't mean you stop doing it.
Yeah.
That means you try harder.
Yeah.
The days that it sucks the most, those are the most important days to show up. Trust the process. I can do this.
And you know, the cool thing on stuff like that is I think it's so important to surround yourself with like positive people.
Yes.
And there's so many, and we can get into some other things you guys are into, but there's a lot of difficult things that people do that I'm like, I don't know that I could ever do that, but they're doing it.
Yep.
How did they do it? And it was just like you're running 5 miles.
Yeah.
But you started with the first mile.
Yep.
And then
one step at a time.
2 days later, you're like, I'm running 2 miles.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's that encouragement though that somebody says, hey, let's
without
try this.
this one,
let's do this.
I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be here without him. He's my rock.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with positive people and have that positive thought is so crucial.
That's actually one of the things that we've been saying a lot, that we have surrounded ourselves with some pretty amazing people.
Yeah.
The TRTC here in Huntsville, we didn't know the group of people that were out here to support us.
A bunch of knuckleheads who just love training and riding bikes and running and doing the swims.
Yeah, which apparently we love to do too.
They're kind of weird, aren't they?
They are.
We're a bunch of weirdos.
They are. We go swim in lakes and stuff. So
what?
The interesting thing is we're going to plug another one of your podcasts. Many months ago, we were surfing YouTube looking at triathlon stuff, and we came across this story about this guy right here in Huntsville that had the same surgery that she had.
Jack
exactly.
Jack Lyons
we saw
is
his
my inspiration.
Ironman story on YouTube, and we watched that. And Lesley, it really what lit the fire under her. I was already on board with doing this, and this was while she was still, I'm going to be the Sherpa.
Yeah. But I was like, wait, he had the surgery. I can do this? And so it became kind of a question. I can do this? And so I started trying. And so we went to the TRTC season ending party last year, and I met Jack and saw him from across the room, and I went, Billy, Billy,
it's
oh my
Jack.
God, it's Jack.
How happy is he? He's just like, I've never seen that guy not have a great day.
He is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I went up to him and I was like, I saw your YouTube video. You're amazing. You're an inspiration. And he's like, oh, shucks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is just a normal, everyday guy.
Have you chatted with his wife?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's
Rhonda's amazing.
She's amazing, too. And she's on a fun journey, too.
Absolutely.
I think she is now over 200.
Yeah, she's lost over 200.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
It's
so
insane.
amazing couple and they're our inspiration.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know that a bariatric patient could do endurance athletics. Never occurred to me. I figured surely with my new digestive tract that I would have to stay away from things like that.
Yeah.
That it would be dangerous for me to do things like that. And it is dangerous if you don't do it well informed and well trained.
But the body's so capable of so many things. It's amazing what we can actually do when we have the right mental frame of mind.
Yep.
Yes.
But then when you go at it properly and train and do all the things, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
I just ran so many miles.
Exactly.
I didn't realize it, and I still have to mow the yard today.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And it's you look at other people, and I don't want to chastise too many people, but there's a bunch of lazy people out there.
Yes.
I was one of them. I was a lazy person.
And maybe that's their choice and their lifestyle.
Yeah.
But man, the body is capable of so
infinitely
many
capable.
amazing things that we just don't tap into because I think some people just don't like hard stuff.
Yes. We do hard shit now.
No, we do hard shit.
We say that to each other all the time. We do hard shit now.
Yeah.
I think that's important to, like, if you're not putting yourself in a position of discomfort.
Yes.
Like, and not just like, oh, I'm not talking about socially uncomfortable.
Right.
I'm talking about like
physically uncomfortable.
I don't know that I should be doing this kind of thing.
Yep.
Am I doing this the right way?
Yep.
Or this really hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And not like injury.
Right.
I'm talking about like, there's times when I've done events and I'm like, I'm going to look forward to when this is over. This is not enjoyable. And then something clicks in my mind and I'm like, oh, I'm doing this.
Yep.
This actually is painful in a good way.
Yep.
And I'm going to complete this.
It pushes you to new limits that you didn't know you had.
Yeah.
I find myself consistently finding new limits of, okay, well, there's something I didn't think I'd ever do. What's next?
But I also think it's important too, when you do that hard stuff, that you also can fail.
Yes.
Yeah.
And be okay with it.
I fall all the time.
We actually had to bring your bike in here because of a fall.
Yes.
I hope it's not like bad falls.
No, never a bad fall. Knock on wood, never a bad fall.
Oopsies.
Oopsies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Forgets to clip in or clip out.
Yeah. Forgetting to clip out fast enough. And I find myself less intimidated by my bike than I used to be. We have a much different relationship. And
I love that.
Yes, my bike. Her name is Opal.
Opal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have a much different relationship, and that's what surgery did for me. Is it realigned all of my relationships with more than just myself, but with the people and objects in my life. My relationship with Billy changed. My relationship with food changed. My relationship with Scott changed. My relationship with my bike changed. My relationship with clothes in general changed.
What is the theme of change that is?
For the better, definitely for the better. It's honesty is the theme of the change, is just tell the truth.
accountability.
Accountability, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
It's the saying goes, if it's not on Strava, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we know our teammates see what we're putting up.
Yeah.
So
we get kudos on Strava.
It's that accountability, that it's our own personal accomplishments, but we know we have people out there that have our back, that are rooting for us.
Yeah.
And so it's that showing up.
And then the failure.
Yeah.
Like the swim at Wet Dog was atrocious for me. And that was probably my biggest fear, was just really failing spectacularly at the swim. But guess what? I didn't. I got it done.
Yep.
I did it. Was it pretty? No, it was ugly. It was horrible. It was mostly on my back and on my side, but it got done.
And that's
and you know what? Rule number 3, learned something.
There you go. All right. So if those of you who don't know, I do a weekly little bicycle ride here.
Yep.
And
I look forward to that every week.
Little.
Yeah.
We used to think 18 miles was terrible.
I know.
Well, there are 3 rules that I always preach. Rule number 1 is be safe.
Yes.
Rule number 2 is have fun, and rule number 3 is learn something new.
Your 3 rules come up a lot. Off the bike, on the bike, in life. Just learn something. Every time one of us goes, well, you look at that. Learn something. Brandon would be proud.
Today. Yeah.
Brandon would be proud.
There's a great podcast video guy here. He's brilliant. It's like getting smarter every day.
Yeah.
And he's way more intelligent and has way better podcasting capabilities than me. But it's every time I come into this building and work on a bike or work with people or whatever, it's never the same day.
Right.
I'm always coming in and getting thrown at different things, and I've always got to have, and when I'm not, I have a bad day, so I've got to make sure I scrub myself from, bad thoughts, but I always have to have that spirit of curiosity.
Yes.
Sure.
What can I learn from this? What's going on here?
Yep.
Why is this happening?
It's interesting that you put it that way, because I've started doing that with like intrusive thoughts and the fear of failure. It's like, all right, if you're going to rattle around up there in my brain, let's talk about it. Let's shine a light and identify it, put a name to it, put a face to it, talk about it. And the fear gets easier to sit with the more you're willing to sit with it. So I swam today in Lake Gunnersville. Way better than Wet Dog. Was that a week ago?
Last weekend, yeah.
So today was my most successful open water swim. No panic, because I sat with the fear.
So in sitting with the fear, what is that?
That is giving myself permission to be afraid and do it anyway. Do it afraid.
Yeah.
Do it panicked. Do it thinking you're going to drown. Do it thinking you can't breathe, but I know I can swim. I've done it in the pool. I've proven to myself and to my nervous system that my body is capable of moving through the water without drowning. So once my brain can trust my body with that knowledge, the swim gets easier.
I was chatting with somebody the other day, and we were talking about how our body reacts to different emotions, feelings, and fear, anxiety almost represents the same way physically in your body as excitement over something.
Yes.
So when you're like looking forward to like a rock concert, like, oh, this is my favorite band, your body's how it reacts to that excitement is very similar to what happens when you have fear or anxiety.
Sure.
So, and this happened to me many years ago when I go to try events or endurance events and it's about to begin. People are like, "Hey, are you nervous?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I mean,
Yeah.
are you? I'm like, yeah, I'm 6 months. I'm like, so for me, it was just also a mind shift. Look, I'm not a professional.
Right.
I'm never going to be like the winner of the race.
Right.
I'm past my prime.
Yeah.
I was never in my prime. So that's the relief on that. But the training, the hard work has already happened.
Yeah.
I've already sweated. I've already, hurt myself trying to get in the best shape. So when I go to these events and I want to perform well, I'm like, this is the rock concert. Mm-hmm. This is the party.
Yep.
This is
what we train for.
They've got a closed course. They've got
Those
volunteers.
Are the best.
They have,
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about all the things I have to worry about.
Right.
Do I have a nutrition? Do I have this? What if this happens? It's going to be an aid station. Traffic.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they've got all that worked out.
Yep.
All I've got to do is point myself in the direction.
Point and shoot.
Yeah.
And so, but it's also, I probably still have a little fear. I want to do well.
Yeah.
I want to like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perform to my best ability, but my mind shifts is like, this is fun.
This is the fun part.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it balances itself
And
out.
I've struggled with anxiety most of my life. I think I mentioned earlier I'm bipolar with anxiety. So toxic childhood, built-in anxiety, bipolar mood disorder, and now I don't have food as a comfort.
Oh, wow.
So I found exercise. I found the adrenaline I used to try to back away from. Again, another relationship in my life that changed. My relationship with adrenaline changed. I used to hate it. It would scare me. It meant bad things. And now I understand it differently. And what an adrenaline rush does in my body and making my arms and my legs tingly. It's like, oh, this is movement. This wants movement. So I find myself constantly grateful that I didn't do permanent damage to this body when I was fat. It is mind-boggling what I am capable of doing now
On the other side.
on the other side of it. Both of us, really.
Yeah.
Both of us. It's just astounding what the human body can do.
So to add something in here, all of those things that she just told you she's dealt with over the years, that's why I chose to crash next to her instead of pedal off cycling and laughing.
Yeah.
Because I've learned all of the intricacies of how to live with this one for 25 years. So
Yep.
But that's brilliant and beautiful, all wrapped up into a perfect package right there. Because
It was perfect.
You have to be self-aware of so many things of what's happening to her, but also not so much wrapped in yourself that you can't say, I'm in this journey with you. If you're going to crash, I'm going to crash.
Yep.
Yeah.
You jump, I jump.
I knew that was coming. Thank you, Rose.
But it's also like, if you win, you win.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I win, you win.
Yep.
Thing. And that's the beauty of y'all's relationship is, man, y'all are a unit.
Yeah.
We are a force to be reckoned with.
I don't want to reckon with.
We are a unit. We are definitely a unit.
It was very interesting. Speaking of that, how we started out with training and events. Was it the turkey trot that it was our first event that we wanted to run together with.
Yeah, the turkey trot was our first 5K.
Right. And she was like, I want you to stay with me. I want to do it together.
Yeah, I wanted to do it together.
And at some point we had the conversation of there's going to come a point in time.
Some event, sometime.
That I'm going to have to leave you, or vice versa. This was very early in her training.
Very early.
When I was still able to keep up with her, much less outrun her. And so at some point, what was the first event that I left you on?
I don't
You got
remember.
so angry with me.
Oh, so many. I don't remember. I don't like being left behind. I don't like being left behind. And that's the competitive streak in me that I didn't know was there.
Yeah.
It's why I run fast. I don't want to be left behind. And so the little girl in me who was always afraid of being left behind, she turned into a really good runner. And so what I have to realize now is tempering that little girl who doesn't want to be abandoned. Don't overrun, Lesley. Rein it in. Run with control and learn to make that run more efficient and that speed to work for you. And it really all boiled down to I didn't want to be left behind.
It's funny how like that is transfers into all things in life too.
Yes.
Like don't burn yourself out.
Yep.
Find balance.
Yeah.
You know.
I have told him most of my aha life moments have come off the bike. Don't make things more complicated than they need to be. Just because the pedaling gets easy doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. You know, if you're going uphill and you can do something to make the pedaling easier, make it easier. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. All of those revelations have come to me on the bike because that's the discipline I struggled with the most was the technical aspects of the bike and being afraid of a spectacular crash. That's my biggest fear on the bike is a spectacular Rick Grief, bless his heart. His crash is probably my biggest fear. And so the fact that I'm still on the bike these days is because of Rick. Because I know he'd be pissed at me if I used it as an excuse to be afraid to get back on.
But yeah, if you watch this podcast, he's alive and kicking.
I know.
Crash didn't kill him.
I know.
I know.
He's my hero.
Yeah.
He's one of my heroes. I mean, what this community has shown me is possible through excellent work is just astounding. All of you and Rick and Jack and Ruth and Alex and all of you guys that we ride with and compete with, you're just people. You're just normal, maybe a little insane people.
Definitely intimidating.
I've been called worse.
We're in the 201 training program for Rocket Man, and we were at the pool on base yesterday morning. And Coach Steve, our coach in 201, was literally in the lane right next to me. And he said, it was great to see you guys here this morning. I was like, yeah, I looked over. I didn't know I was swimming next to a dolphin because I'm over here just doing my slow getting it done thing. And I look and here he comes just smooth sailing right next to me. So
don't you hate that sometimes?
Yep. So, but yeah,
and what I mean by that is like you think you've like improving, and then sometimes I'll be I don't know climbing a hill or something like that. And I'm like, oh man, I'm killing up this hill, and then somebody just like comes right by you and just like dances up and like,
there's always
hey, how are you? And they're not even out of breath.
There's always this guy on Wednesday nights that comes zooming past us on this really nice black bike. So
Yep. But what's nice is that everybody is so approachable. Like I can watch Coach Steve swim like he's a fish, and then I can pick his brain and he'll teach me. Yeah. And like with you on the bike.
Well, there's the truth of the matter is, unless they're some gift of God, elite athlete, they were once where you were. They struggled. They had fear. They weren't doing it right. They were nervous. At some point. I guarantee you in a short amount of time, maybe 6 months, maybe less, maybe 2 years, somebody's going to come up to you and be like, I heard your podcast. I saw the videos. I saw your stuff. You're my inspiration. So you probably already have that right now.
I have had it a little bit. I will say that all of what we've done is not possible without support. He is my biggest cheerleader, but he's not my only support. I have thousands of friends in support groups on Facebook, specific to my surgery, specific to endurance athletics, specific to triathlon. And we all come at it from a unique perspective. And so there are groups that have watched my entire journey from the beginning. And I am and inspiration in these groups of there are newcomers, there are people who are just starting their journey, and people direct them to me. I field a lot of questions. No two journeys are the same.
Nope.
Yeah.
If you meet two people who've had gastric sleeve surgery, you've met two people who've had gastric sleeve surgery, and they're completely different. Everybody's journey is unique. And in learning to not compare my journey to other journeys, I realize that I can help people see the joy and the beauty in their own journey.
That's great.
Everybody's journey is different.
Speaking of people's journeys, it starts somewhere.
Yes.
Here's the question that I always ask.
Okay.
Do you recall when you first learned how to ride a bike?
I do, actually. It's one of the very, very few childhood memories I have of my father.
Oh, tell me about that.
I had a bike with training wheels when I'm like 6 years old. And I remember very specifically, my parents were divorced when I was very, very young. I think I was 2 when they divorced. And I think I was about 6 the last time I saw my father. And he took the training wheels off my bike. And he taught me how to ride my bike without training wheels for the first time. Never saw him again.
Oh, wow.
It just, life. He was pretty sure he was on the spectrum with autism. And his restricted interest was theater. And he just didn't have the bandwidth for the toxicity that was my mother and then me. And I'm okay with that. I spent a lot of time with that. I spent a lot of time with that abandonment, which, you know, I don't want to be left behind. So all of that makes me who I am. I don't regret who he was or what he could have been, but he taught me how to ride a bike.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Sorry, that's a hard moment for me.
Yeah.
Because just the impact of learning how to ride a bicycle.
Yeah.
That's a core memory for most people. It's really where I feel truly is a kid, a child taps into that understanding in life that they can do anything. Like that's the first form of like freedom. It's the first form of no one's helping me do this. I'm doing it myself. I remember those first few pedals. Having that wrapped up into that's one of the last things. Your dad. So that's I mean, I'm sad for you and happy for you at the same time. On that story. We didn't have much of a relationship. I was in my 30s when he died, but there wasn't much trying to have a relationship with him. It was strained for many, 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 many years. And Billy, you met him once, right? Yeah. Billy met him once. Scott met him once. And those were the last couple of times I saw him. But the only meaningful interaction I had with him as a child was when he taught me how to ride a bike. That's painfully beautiful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Billy, how about you?
So we've heard this question before on the podcast. So I told her, I was like, I actually don't remember. So I had an older brother and sister growing up. My sister's 7 years older than me. My brother's 10 years older. So I probably learned to ride at a very young age because they were both around me at that age. So I always remember being able to. Yeah. And I think it's just that I learned so young. I had
you almost have forced to.
Yeah.
You either coming with us or you ain't.
Yep.
What do you want to do?
Yeah. I'm an only child.
Yeah.
So only child from a broken home. I was my only friend.
Yeah. And I was raised on a 600-acre crop farm, so we had everywhere to go. And I had friends not far from the house, so I just always remember cycling down the street. until I finally got something with a motor on it, so a 4-wheeler. So,
and he's been a cyclist for years and years and years, all the way back. We were in Colorado.
Well, it actually goes back to Afghanistan.
That's right, where you got your first bike. Yeah. So that's when he learned how to ride a bike.
So I was on Kandahar Air Base, and like my ride to and from my room to where the hangar that I worked at, it was a 4-mile dusty, hot bus ride, and I got sick and tired of riding that bus every single day. And one of my civilian counterparts that worked in the hangar with us, he was leaving, and I bought a mountain bike from him, a Diamondback. It was a extra large frame, entirely too big for me, but I rode that thing. When I got that bike from him, I didn't ride that bus again until I wrecked.
Yeah.
I tore my, I think it was this thumbnail, ripped it completely back.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was going around a roundabout, and the back tire slipped out from underneath me, and that thumbnail caught the pavement. But that was the first time I rode that bus in over 6 months.
Oh, that's cool.
So he came home obsessed with bikes.
One of my friends in Colorado that I was deployed with, he talked me into buying my first road bike, and it's the same one that I just did a triathlon on last weekend.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Betty Blue.
I've had her since
2012. No.
2013.
Yeah.
I want to show a picture of you two.
Yeah.
Where you guys are now, because this is a look at there. Look at
so that was as we were about to depart for Hawaii for our 20th anniversary.
You guys are not the same people.
Yeah.
Those shirts say, yes, we are aware of how obnoxious we are. No,
no,
we don't care.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yep. Yeah.
But look at that. Look at how
that's more recent.
Look how sporty you guys look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there another one? Oh, and look at that one. That looks like an Easter picture.
Close.
Yeah. That was downtown Big Spring Park.
Yep.
Big Spring Park?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That was...
You can see all the dogwoods behind.
Yeah,
that was
April, I guess.
Yeah, April-ish.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, Brandon, to look at these pictures, to look at those two fit people.
Have y'all had to update your driver's license?
I have not yet.
I should. She keeps saying that she doesn't know how people are letting her on base because her
my ID does not look like me.
Like her anymore.
You do not look like that.
But here's the wild thing. Of those pictures, what I don't recognize is the new us. The fit version of me. You haven't translated that that's who you are. So you'll see an image and like, oh wait, that is me. Yes. Because all of the pictures of me, like from Wet Dog, if there's a group picture, I have to study and find myself because I don't recognize myself.
Because for so long you've been a larger portion.
Yes. I spent the better part of the last 15 years getting fatter and fatter and fatter.
Wow.
It was a never-ending vicious cycle of I'd lose 5, I'd gain 15. I'd lose 10, I'd gain 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna plug something here shamelessly. I think that there were probably some perimenopausal symptoms I was not aware of, even in my early 40s, that probably contributed to difficulty in losing the weight. So as I look at that from a perspective of later into my 45th year, I'm like, along with the undiagnosed ADHD that I'm convinced I have, the bipolar that I do have, the anxiety that I do have, and the toxic childhood I did have, along with all of that, now I'm 45 and there's hormonal shitstorms and it's just no fun. But
come have a beer with me sometime. We'll talk about that.
There are conversations that need to be happening for women in the world, period.
Yeah.
There just are not enough conversations warning us that this is coming.
Yeah, women have it pretty rough when it comes to all the changes, especially with regards to pregnancy.
Yes.
That's you're all of a sudden incubating another life form.
And here's the thing.
That does a number.
I felt wildly prepared for pregnancy. Perimenopause? No. Nobody talks about it. They teach us about puberty and pregnancy, but that's it. And so what I'm finding is having to incorporate in my training also dealing with hormones and how disruptive they can be to your training schedule, because hormones don't care that you need to sleep. And so we could have a perfect training day, which we've had, and we can do all the recovery things, which we have. We have a cold plunge, and we have a steam room, and we have compression boots, and we know all the things.
I need to come train you out for the woods. I'm like, hey, can I train? You are in Decatur, right?
Yeah, we're in Decatur.
I'm come in Decatur and do some training. By the way, can I get a hookup on that?
Absolutely.
Drop in the cold plunge. It's 57 degrees right now. So.
And because of what we've learned in the community, and we've learned that these recovery tools really, really, really do work, so we're incorporating them at home to try and help me through this stage, to help us both through this stage. Because it's more than just recovery from a bike ride or a run or a swim. It's a whole body recovery. And that's where I think a lot of people don't give themselves the full body picture, is you don't train in a vacuum. You have to take your whole life into account if you want to train and train smartly.
Yeah. I just, for me, I'm getting up there in age. If I have a hard effort, it's almost like I've got to now start considering recovery part of a training activity.
Right.
It's mentally really hard for me.
Yeah, we what was I gonna say? I had a thought, it came in one time.
And with age,
memory
loss.
So
they say that's the first thing to go.
They do, and he does have 5 years on me.
So you're 50.
I am. Yep. I set out, like I said earlier, to complete a triathlon in my 50th year, and
you already did that.
I already did that. We both did that last weekend, and we are both, I think, pretty convinced Mountain Lakes Olympic is going to be our first Olympic.
Yeah, it's a good one.
To mentally prepare us for Rocket Man. So
oh man, I got this.
Coming from the race director of Rocket Man, so
it's an easy bike course. You've ridden it.
Ironically, we've heard more horror stories about the run than anything because of the unshaded and August heat. So
that's the hardest part of Rocket Man, in my opinion. It's just there's not much shade.
I am really looking forward to the challenge.
There you go.
I have discovered that I rise well to a challenge. And most of my past has been challenging. I have overcome obstacles to be where I'm at, and none of it's killed me yet.
The beauty of what you can pretty much say is, I've done harder things. This isn't as bad.
She grew a whole human.
I did. I grew a whole human. I did. Probably most proud in my life of growing a human, but also the regrowth I did of myself.
Yes.
I am.
Which is very ironic, because you pretty much shrunk yourself.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So we joke sometimes that we're Benjamin Buttoning our way through life. We're de-aging.
Yeah.
So and again, gratitude that I didn't do permanent damage as a fat person. I think back to, we have a 2-story house, and there was a good long portion of living in that 2-story house that we didn't live in 2 stories. We lived on the ground floor.
because neither one of us could go upstairs without being.
We didn't want to go up and down the stairs.
Yeah, we were too out of breath.
Now you're turning it into training exercise, aren't you?
Yeah. Now my favorite room is upstairs.
Now it's like, oh, I got 10 floors today. I'm good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's totally different. It's totally wild how different our lives are in the space we take up in the world.
All right, so what are you guys looking forward to other than maybe, I know you got some events coming up and races, but anything not race related that you guys are looking forward to? Any fun?
We're going on a cruise again next year. So most of the bathing suit pictures you've got are from cruises. We've done 2 cruises. We're going on a cruise next year for our 25th anniversary.
Okay.
Looking forward to that.
Ironically, that you asked for non-racing events. But the fun thing about that cruise is our anniversary date, April 25th, is going to be a day at sea on the ship. And our hope is to be able to set up
a group run.
We've got to figure out with the cruise ship how to do it. And if it's allowed, we want to do a group run
on the ship in the middle of the ocean. So that Strava will show.
Oh, that
out
would
in the
be
middle
funny.
of the ocean.
Yeah. So there's
like running around the deck kind of thing.
Yes.
That'd be interesting if you could GPS record it as the ship is moving, and how is that going to affect
that's what we want to
trajectory?
Yeah. So you got to think the cruise ship is probably doing 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know how many miles an hour. So there's going to be a difference on one side versus the other. So
it'll what that might look like.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
So my idea is I want to start at the bottom of the ship and run up all the decks. I want to run aft and forward and up.
She wants to do all the staircases.
Yes, I want to do all the stairs.
And the ship that we're supposed to be on has 17 floors. And there's, I think, 3 different sets of staircases.
Would y'all listen to yourself?
I know.
It's crazy, isn't it, Brandon?
We're talking about a vacation.
I know.
And you've turned it into a training event.
Yes.
That's that accountability.
Yes.
We want to do a run at each port.
And it's not just accountability, it's the joy of movement.
Yeah.
And it
goes right back to that.
It goes right back to the gratitude in being able to move our bodies the way we can. And if we can, we should. And we enjoy it.
Yeah.
I like running.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the running as much as I do.
You guys... like just seeing those pictures, hearing you talk about your past self, you are not the same people.
No.
You've completely changed.
Not at all.
And some relationships fell. We've said goodbye to some friends. Relationships are different. I am grateful for the stability that we have in each other. The foundation that we built 25 years ago, we've seen some shit. We've been through some storms, and we've come out the other side together.
All growth.
Yep.
All growth.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know what else we can add to that. I want to end on this because
Right.
this is so happy and joyful.
End on the high note.
Yeah.
So,
Any final thoughts other than you?
Just thank you.
Yes. Thank you
pleasure.
for being the inspiration that you've been for us.
You were a big part in getting me here. He talked about you a lot last year when he would ride with Sunset, and I wasn't quite into it yet. You got talked about a lot. And so your reputation preceded you.
Yes.
And when he started bringing me in and I started riding a little bit and started taking some advice from you and getting more into the community, that's the foothold that you had a year ago.
Yeah. That was my first introduction to, there's these people out there that are Ironman, that are just normal people that want to teach you, want to help you be that better version of yourself. And I told her, I was like, it felt great just having this guy share his stories and show me the ropes, show me how to do things.
Yep.
So you were definitely an inspiration in the cycling community and getting me back active. And that's what
that opened the door.
Drug her along. So
thank you for those kind words.
Absolutely.
But the bicycle plays and continues to play, plays and continues to play a huge part in my life.
Yeah.
And I would not be alive without it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've had the good fortune of doing lots of things because of the bicycle.
Right.
I've ridden with the president.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's super fun. But it also gave me an outlet in life and money and support when there almost was none.
Yeah.
So when I see people who show up to our rides and they're trying, it's like I want to help them.
Yep.
I've been there.
Yep. And I see it now too, as we just began Try 201. They're newcomers that haven't been doing it quite as long as we have, even though we've been less than a year. But yeah, I see newcomers and I'm like, come, let me teach you, let me show you, I'll teach you everything I've learned from all these wonderful people.
Yeah.
And it's a fun thing to see also others to pay it forward just like that.
Yeah.
And that's really what that whole scene is about. Is there's a lot of, on that particular ride, there's so many people who are helpful ride leaders.
Yep.
Who can help and aid, and that's one of the things, the 3 rules. The reason I repeat those and continue to do that is it will permeate into other things, but also now you guys have, here's how you do it. There's 3 rules.
Yep.
Boom.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, those 3 rules carry over into everything. The swim, the run, the bicycle, life in general.
And you know why there's only 3 rules?
Why is there only 3?
Because people can't remember.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, I want learn something to be rule number 1, but I understand safety first.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing with safety first. If you aren't safe,
you're not learning anything.
Then you can't come back next week.
There you
to
go.
Do it again.
Yep.
You can be injured or dead or worse. So
knock on wood, no
safety
serious injuries. As we've gotten fit, no serious injuries. I've had some knee trouble,
some bruised egos.
Yes, definitely some bruised egos, and some soreness, some kinks to work out. Luckily, no severe injuries.
Good. Yeah. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
As Ruth Marie likes to say, niggles.
Niggles, yes. Niggles.
Niggles.
Yes, niggles, but no injuries.
That was our introduction to that term.
Yes.
Was her knee you'll discover niggles.
Niggles. Yeah, and when I run, one of my knees will usually talk to me during the run and be like, "Hey, I'm here."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, we're fine. Shut up, legs. We're fine."
But we've been blessed to be able to do what we can, and proud of where we are.
I'm proud of you too, and I appreciate y'all taking the extra time to be here with the podcast tonight. Hopefully this thing has recorded.
Yeah.
Get this thing going, and it sounds halfway decent.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
I have to brush up on my podcast skills here. So
hopefully you don't have to do much audio editing to this to...
the whole goal on this is to do no
editing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what we do,
hopefully
live
it's
and not on air is what's recorded.
Absolutely.
So curse words and all. So,
awesome.
Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
This has been wonderful.
Almost like a therapy session.
It is.
It is.
I can't recommend therapy highly enough.
I'm not even qualified. So, any advice that you heard tonight? Just
Absolutely.
Well, a large portion of a lot of therapy sessions is simply to get you to talk.